Hey guys, Kevin here for Big Brother 17, episodes 24 through 26. Now, this was a really good week. I was definitely looking forward to this week, and this was one of those more weeks where not a ton of shit happened. Well, there was stuff that happened in terms of, what happened during the week, but game-wise, not a lot happened. And that's mainly because it was more of a filler sort of week, especially after a double eviction. That tends to happen a lot. The game slows down for a week. But next week, it really looks like things are going to take off, and we're going to get into that. But, let's just first get into the aftermath of the double eviction, because I was very confused on what exactly was going on with the double eviction. Everyone was just sitting around. Everyone wasn't making any moves. It was really weird. I didn't know what was going on. It was just really, really strange. Basically, we see that everyone pretty much thought Steve knew what he was doing, and they figured that they didn't need to do anything. And, you know, basically because of that, they didn't try to do anything, because anytime they went up to Steve, he's like, all right, I know what I'm doing, and he's handling it. Now, I said before that this really hurt Steve's game, but honestly, thinking it over, I think Steve probably made the best decision, because if you win HOH on a double eviction and you've never won HOH before, you don't want to try to make a huge move. I mean, if someone like, say, someone that won HOH before, like, say, Vanessa, if she wanted to make a big move, that's another thing, because she's won HOH before. But if you've never won HOH before and you're getting HOH, and you're getting HOH on a double eviction, you probably don't want to make a huge move. So for Steve to put up Jackie and Meg probably was the best thing for him to do, because of the fact that it didn't really affect his game overall. He's not allied with them. He's allied with Johnny Mac, and he's allied with Vanessa, and neither of them were working with them. Johnny Mac did kind of have a side thing going on with Jackie, James, and Meg, but his alliance was mainly with him and Becky. That's mainly who Johnny Mac was allied with. So Steve doing this, I actually think, was probably the best thing for him to do, because of the fact that it didn't give him any blood in his hands. But I will say it was quite hilarious to see Steve moping and crying and saying he feels like shit and that he's gonna throw up. I mean, it was really funny to watch, definitely. When Julia and Liz came to comfort him, I mean, Steve's like, that was genius what he did. When he's just like crying and he's like about 50% acting, I'm like, alright, I see what he's doing. Because if you guys don't know, Steve actually has a crush on Julia. He wants to maybe start something with her in the jury house when they go to jury, because he's thinking that they're going to go to jury or something. But I like that about Steve. I like how he's kind of being sneaky about it, and I don't know, I like that, definitely. I don't know if he intentionally meant for that to happen, but he definitely was acting. He wanted to act like he was upset when he really wasn't, and even though he was a little bit upset, half of it was acting, he did say, and I thought that was actually pretty sly of him. I definitely enjoyed seeing that. So seeing Steve act like that, I thought was pretty funny. I definitely will say that. I still don't really like Steve, I will say that. The thing I can't stand about Steve is that he always feels they're coming after him. He always feels he's being targeted, which is understandable. I mean, after you win HOH, you should always be worried. You can never be safe. Like they say, one of the biggest rules of Big Brother is that you can never be safe. So even if you think you're safe, you're never safe. You're always, someone's always gunning for you. Someone's always coming after you. Even if it's not that week, someone is always planning something. Someone's always like, okay, I'm coming after you. So I can understand why Steve is worried, but he needs to not be nearly as paranoid as he's been. And this week he kind of laid low a bit, which I was fine with. And he starts to form a bond with James, who I have to say, that was hilarious to watch. They're bonding. I really like it, because honestly, Steve bonding with James is very much like the high school movie where you see the nerdy kid bonding with the cool guy. That's kind of what it seems like to me, at least. And I really like that, I have to say. I mean, everyone pretty much loves James. He's like one of the kings of the house right now. Him and Johnny Mac are pretty much the king of the house. Well, Austin thinks he is, but I really don't think Austin is king of the house. But I definitely love seeing that. I thought that was really great. Now, let's get into this HOH competition, which I thought was very strange. I was not a fan of this HOH competition. I will definitely admit that. Oh, but before that, we do see Meg. She's obviously crying over Jackie. her, James, Becky, and Johnny Mac basically plan on sending Vanessa home. That's what they want to do. They want to get out Vanessa and target her. And the reason Johnny Mac didn't use the veto is because he knew that Steve would have backdoored Becky, and he didn't want that to happen, obviously, which was really smart of him. I thought that was definitely very smart of him to do, and basically, I was hoping that one of them would win HOH. Now, let's get into this HOH competition, which was very strange. This emoji competition, never do this again. Please, never do this something like this again. This was really stupid. I'm sorry. I've seen good HOH competitions for double evictions. This was very strange. Like, pick the emoji and things like that. It was very annoying. I did not like it. Also, why does Big Brother constantly insist on referencing Big Brother 16 when they know that it's one of the worst seasons ever? Yes, Derek was a great player. Other than that, there's really nothing good about that season except maybe Nicole, Donnie, and Zach. And Hayden. That's really it. Other than those 4 people, then Big Brother 16 sucked, and I don't know why they keep referencing it. It's really annoying. When Meg was referencing it, I thought it was definitely really dumb. I mean, it's not her fault, obviously, but I do think it's very annoying that they keep trying to reference Big Brother 16 when there are much better seasons they could be referencing. It's not that Big Brother 16 was bad. The worst season of all time is Big Brother 15. You guys know why. It was boring, it was annoying, and there was just nothing interesting about it except for Alyssa Riley Slater. That was really it, who is still one of my favorite players of all time by far. But I will say that I'm happy that they're referencing Big Brother 16 and at least not Big Brother 15, which I thought was really interesting. Let's talk about Meg, because a lot of people are asking why is Meg not trying to win comps. I'm going to tell you guys this. She is trying to win comps, but if you guys don't know, and I did not know this, I've heard things about this, and it is true. Meg has really bad knees. She had knee surgery before she came into the house, and that's why anytime she does an HOH, she doesn't do very well. That's why she runs very slowly. That's why she doesn't really try, because she has bad knees, obviously. She doesn't want to hurt herself, and fine for that. I'm fine with that. I mean, if Meg wants to lay low, I understand that she thinks she's at summer camp, but the thing is, Meg is not Victoria. Victoria was annoying. She thought she was Queen Bee. She thought she was, the queen of the house last year. Meg is a lot more quiet and just fun to watch, and I don't have a problem with Meg thinking she's at summer camp because she has allies. Victoria, on the other hand, had Derek and didn't really have him, though. But she actually does have James, and I'm fine with that. So I don't have a problem with Meg thinking she's at summer camp. I really don't. But now let's get to the HOH. Liz ends up winning HOH, which I have to say, she's not a very good HOH. I will definitely admit that. Liz is not a very good HOH at all. I don't really think that she was the best choice, but whatever. It's obviously luck, but of course, one of my favorite part of this week, though, was the battle between Austin and Julia for who Liz should ally with. It's a very interesting storyline, and it's going in a really fun direction. Julia is killing it this season. I mean, I've said it before, Julia is so much smarter than Liz, but Liz is very stubborn, and, Julia is telling her to not let Austin control everything, and it seems like she wasn't going to do that, but the thing is, Liz does nothing all week. Literally, she did nothing. She formed an alliance with Vanessa called Austin's Angels, but then she formed this other alliance with James and Meg called Brass Tacks. Basically, they formed these 2 alliances, and then basically what ends up happening is Johnny Mac talks to Vanessa, and I like how Johnny Mac's trying to get into the game more. He basically has no choice but to get into the game because of the fact of that whole fight that happened between him and Vanessa. As long as Vanessa's in the game, Johnny Mac basically has to stay in the game, and I like that he's realizing that, because some people are saying, oh, he's laying low. He has to. Johnny Mac has to lay low, or else Vanessa's going to try to start a campaign against him. It's not going to work, but I think Johnny Mac is worried that that's going to happen, and I think he knows that he has to lay low. So, like people have said, I don't think that people have said Johnny Mac's an idiot. I don't think he's an idiot. I think Johnny Mac's just doing whatever he can to survive, and I'm fine with that, because he is in danger right now. He knows that Vanessa is coming after him, and he's coming after her. That's obviously his main goal here. However, he doesn't want her to know that, so he's very sly when he has this conversation with her, because, she asks him, are you coming after me? Do you feel threatened by me? And all he says is, I felt very bullied when we got into that fight and everything. And she takes this as he's coming after them. I don't know where she thought this, but something with the wheels in Vanessa's head, they don't turn right, and she tries to campaign to Liz to put up Johnny Mac, and it's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous that she feels that Johnny Mac should be the one to leave when he said nothing about coming after her. All he said to her was, I feel like I'm getting bullied. That's all he said, and there is no reason for Vanessa to think that. I'm sorry, but Vanessa is just way too paranoid at this point, and I'm happy that people are starting to realize it, and, Liz obviously doesn't want to get her out. She wants to get out Becky, but basically they decided to put up Becky and Johnny Mac, and that's what happens there. And, so that's really what happened in terms of nominations. Other than that, there really wasn't a lot that happened on Sunday's episode. It was a fun episode. I will say, I love seeing James scaring people. What I don't know what it's called, but I love seeing, there's like a hashtag for it. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like sneak attack or something. I love seeing James scaring Julia. It's hilarious to watch, and it's very reminiscent of Zach from last season, because if you remember, Zach did things because he was bored. That's why James is doing things, and I'm fine with that. I mean, it's easy to get bored in that house. When you just sit there and you're not in power and you can't do anything, you need something to not be bored out of your mind. And if this is the way James is not bored out of his mind, fine, I'm fine with it. I love seeing James going around scaring people. It's really funny, and Julia always falls for it. It's really funny to watch. I can't believe that Julia's always falling for it. Even when she knows that it is James, she's still scared. It's hilarious. I mean, last night's episode, James hid behind a bed and she knew he was there, yet she was scared by him, and it's hilarious to watch. It's one of the best things about this week by far. I love seeing that. Not my favorite thing with the week. We'll get into that. Because my favorite stuff with the week comes a little bit later in Wednesday's episode. So we don't get a lot of game talk on Wednesday night's episode. We do, however, get Becky talking to Austin and Liz and Julia. Which this did happen Sunday, but we will get into it. She's saying that Vanessa cannot be trusted and that they really shouldn't ally with her. So I like that Liz, Julie, and Austin are starting to feel they should not trust her. They realize she's getting way too paranoid, and honestly, yeah, they shouldn't trust her, because here's the thing. Vanessa's not going to take them to the end, because obviously they're kind of doing what Shelly did right now. What Shelly did for Vanessa. Vanessa's kind of alone, honestly. I mean, she doesn't really have Julia, Liz, and Austin. She really has nothing to do with Liz's vote this week. And the most that she gets to a conversation with them is forming Austin's Angels and getting told that Becky is the target. That's really it. She doesn't really get anything else in terms of game talk this week. And I kind of like this because, Liz, Julia, and Austin are realizing maybe we can't trust her. But they do realize now's not the week to backdoor her, which I'm okay with, because here's the thing. They're obviously allying with her, and if they were to get rid of her knowing that she might come back into the house and, could get them out, they don't want to get the blood on their hands, so they want to use someone else to do that, and I think that's very smart of them. So I like that they are starting to get paranoid. And again, as, bad of an HOH as Liz is, she's not stupid. She's just very naive and very stubborn. I mean, I heard on the live feeds that she says she doesn't care what her family thinks. She doesn't care what America thinks. She's going to do what she wants, and that's how it's going to go. Now, let's get into Liz and Austin. It's disgusting, okay? It's disgusting. I will admit that. There are times where I do kind of like what's going on between them. I will say that. I don't think it's completely disgusting. I will admit, though, if it wasn't Austin, I wouldn't find it disgusting at all. I will definitely admit that, because Austin's still giving the creeper vibe. Even though Liz wants this relationship, it's still very creepy. Him and her kissing in bed and things like that. Him giving her hickeys. I mean, it's really, really, really weird, definitely. I mean, just the fact that these two love each other, it's very, very strange, and it seemed like Liz was just doing this to get to the end, but now it seems like she actually does want this, and my fear here is that she's going to think of this as something real, when really, or Austin's gonna think this is something real, when really Liz is gonna end up, I think, probably betrayed by Austin. Because remember, his goal is not to win the game with her. His goal is to get into the jury house with her. That's his goal. And I don't know if that's his goal now, but also, those white things, he needs to cut off, like, that ponytail in his beard. It's very, very unattractive. I will definitely say that. It is. It might look good on a girl, but not on a guy. That's just, ugh, it's weird. It's very strange. And he even, I heard, fingered her. I mean, like, he fingered her, he wanted to have sex with her. I mean, it's really just, I don't want to get into it. What I love is Julia. Julia is just killing it this season. My favorite scene by far this entire week is the Hickey Gate, where Julia's calling Liz out for getting hickeys, and she's, saying who gives hickeys anymore, and she tells her not to do it, and it's hilarious to watch. Because, Julia is the same exact age as Liz. They're identical twins. But the fact that Julia is kind of like an older sister or even a mother towards Liz is hilarious to watch. It very much is a mother talking to their daughter not to go with this rebellious guy. That's what it seems like, and it's hilarious to watch. I love seeing Julia and Liz and Austin. I said a comment on YouTube that I could watch an entire show around them. I could. As much as I don't like Liz and Austin, because I could watch a show around them because it's hilarious to watch, and it's one of my favorite things this season by far. It's very, very fun, and I'm loving it. I really am. It's really fun stuff. So, basically, Johnny Mac talks to Liz, Austin, and Julia, and basically tells them that he doesn't trust Vanessa, and that she's very paranoid, and things like that, and they realize that this might actually be a good opportunity for them to possibly work with him, which I thought was very smart of them, because honestly, Johnny Mac is someone that I think is very good to ally with. He can do a lot. He just hasn't really had the potential to. And I hope this week he finally does get to that. And we'll get to that when we get to the end of this review. But back to this episode. Basically, we go to the POV competition. And again, we get Julia with her fantastic DRs when Liz picks Austin over Julia. Okay, Liz, let's talk about this. You would not be here if it was for Julia. If Julia was, you would not be here if it was for Julia. You two came in the house as a duo. You should probably pick her, because I don't think Julia's ever gonna betray Liz, but in that moment, it seemed like Julia was so pissed that she honestly would probably backdoor Liz if she had the potential to. I mean, that would be hilarious to watch. If Julia and Liz pit against each other, it is going to be awesome. I really would, that would be hilarious. It's never going to happen, but that would be great. And I love seeing Julia be like, why, you ask Liz why she looks so, why she's trying to look sexy, and Liz is like, oh, I just want to look good for the competition. I thought that was pretty funny, and I definitely really enjoyed seeing the Julia and Liz interaction. It's very funny. So, basically, we go to the POV competition, which I love OTEV, I really do. I love what they do with OTEV. I think it's a really interesting competition, and it's a really fun competition, especially this one, the one with OTEV, the rock star, and the butter. I definitely really like that. I mean, the butter, that I definitely really enjoyed, and basically, I feel bad for Meg, I do, because again, like I said, she has bad knees, and that's why she didn't do very well. But Liz again ends up winning POV, so again, not much really happens. However, I do like that they do take some time to think about, because to me it seemed like they weren't going to take any time to think about. It seemed like they're just going to be like, whatever, let's not even talk about this, let's just forget about it. But they do actually take some time, and I was happy about that. Basically, they do talk about how they don't really trust Vanessa, and that they might even think of backdooring her. But they decide to not backdoor her. They decide to keep the nominations the same. And again, I get why they're doing this, because they don't want to be the ones to do it. They don't want, to get targeted by Vanessa if she comes back, knowing that someone's come back in the house. And I think that was definitely very smart of them. Again, Liz is a very stubborn person, so I can understand why she did what she did. Plus, she's very quiet, and I really don't think she's a good HOH. I'd love to see Julia win, because I'd love to see how different Liz and Julia are. Julia, to me, seems a lot more calculated and a lot more knowing what's going on. Liz seems like she knows what's going on, but she doesn't want to do much about it. It's just, she's kind of the quiet one. She wins competitions every now and again, but she does nothing else, and whatever. I don't have a problem with Liz. I don't hate Liz. I just don't really like her. I don't. I like seeing Julia and Liz fight, but I don't like Liz. Julia I love, but I don't like Liz. I will definitely admit that. So, now we get into tonight's episode, which actually had a lot. I was surprised. Tonight's episode had a lot of really good stuff. Basically, Becky's planning on campaigning. Never really happens. Never really happens. But basically, Steve and Johnny Mac come up with this plan to possibly use Liz, Austin, and Julia for a Final Five. And I thought that was pretty smart of them to do that. And they go up to Liz, Austin, and Julia, who immediately feel this is their idea, which I think is hilarious. And, even though Johnny Mac knew that he was the one that came up with this, they ultimately think this is their idea, which I think is just, it's hilarious. I love it. Definitely, it's great. And basically, what ends up happening is they make a Final Five deal, which I like seeing, and to me, I think what's going to happen, if Johnny Mac or Steve win, they are definitely getting rid of Vanessa, which I think is very smart. And I really like seeing that. Now, James and Meg, I really want to talk about this, because I thought this was really funny. James is starting to get feelings for Meg. You can tell something is starting to happen there, which I've always suspected ever since he's called her Taylor Swift and flirting with her. I've always thought they were going to get together, and the fact that he thinks they're engaged is hilarious. I love it. I love seeing these two together. It's very cute, and I think Meg does like it, but I don't think she wants to be with him in that way. And I feel bad for James, but again, I don't think much of it because he's just having fun. And again, he's just bored, so that's why he's doing it, which I think is really fun. I like seeing that. So, definitely, I really enjoyed that, I have to say. That was definitely something I enjoyed. Okay, let me think of what else there is there. Okay, when James pulled that prank on Steve, hilarious. I mean, I don't think he could have pulled a prank on anyone better. No one else would have done that. It wouldn't have been any funnier if someone other than Steve did that, because Steve is probably the one house guest that it's hilarious to watch, and it's great. And I love the scene where Liz and Austin are talking about Becky's speech that she said and I will admit, it was a very interesting speech. She's like, you were here, Liz, and now you're here, and Austin was there too. And basically she's saying, look, if you're going to put me up and not save me, I'm coming after you. And obviously they're going to come after her. Now, am I upset that Becky was evicted? Not really. I'm really not. And I'll get into this. But basically, Steve, I love seeing Steve win the prank with James. It was definitely very funny, and I really enjoyed seeing that. So, as far as, what else happened? We saw Steve's hometown. We actually see Steve's mom and everything. I was surprised by the amount of fans that Steve has. I mean, I think it's just how quirky he is, honestly. Yeah, he's, kind of naive at times and kind of strange, but I think he's very quirky and he's very fun to watch, and I do really enjoy Steve. I will admit I've gone from not really liking Steve to actually finding him quite fun. Do I want him to win the game? No, but I do find him pretty fun, and I can understand why he has the amount of fans he has. It's always nice to see the house gets hometowns. I definitely like seeing that, definitely. So that was a lot of fun. I was surprised we saw the jury this early, though. We never really see the jury, it seems, till we get to who's come back into the house. So seeing the jury this early felt very strange. I will definitely admit that. I don't know why we saw the jury this week. Shelly and Jackie. It was nice, but it was just like, there's only 2 people in the jury house, and we just started. Why are we already showing him? It didn't really make much sense to me. If they would have done this next week, then that would have made sense because someone's come back in. But this week, it really seemed kind of pointless. I know they usually start that, but usually when they start it, there's like 3 or 4 people in the jury house already, and this week, there was only 2. It was very strange that they did that. I know they didn't have enough, there wasn't really much to show, but basically, Becky ends up leaving, which I was fine with. I love Johnny Mac's speech where he's just like, don't evict her, keep her. I thought that was really funny. Also, Johnny Mac not wanting to throw the POV comp. I don't know. I don't have much to say about it. I'm not going to talk much about it because of the fact that I don't know, he's used to throwing things, so I think that's why he just likes throwing things. But basically, Becky ends up leaving, which I'm fine with. I mean, she was coming after them. She was probably the best person to get out, and I can understand why they got rid of her. I like how happy she was, though. I was surprised by her speech. I was surprised that Steve gave her such a happy goodbye message, because it seemed like he despised her, and he was actually very nice to her. He was like, I really like playing this game with you. Steve definitely, I think, is starting to get into his comfort zone. I think Steve's kind of been alone, and now that he's allying with Johnny Mac and the twins and Austin, I think he definitely is starting to come back into his comfort zone, which I definitely like seeing, and I really enjoy that. So the HOH comes up, and this was a very strange competition. Again, another endurance competition. I'm not a fan of them doing all these endurance competitions at once, because we know next week there's going to be another one, because obviously someone's come back into the house next week. But I will say I really hope Johnny Mac ends up winning HOH, because here's why. I want Johnny Mac to win specifically because I think he is the only one that will probably, get rid of Vanessa. I don't know if Steve would do it. I honestly don't know at this point, because it seemed like Steve and Vanessa are still pretty tight. I mean, we saw a scene last night where Vanessa was hanging outside and there was Steve. So I don't know if Steve would actually do that, so we'll have to see. But as far as who's come back into the house, I want it to be Jackie. I really do, because I think Jackie would really do something big. I think if she won HOH, she could do something big. Now, I have heard people say, oh, it doesn't really make a difference. Honestly, I think it could. I don't think it determines whether or not they come back into the house or not, but I think it is interesting to watch to see how that's going to be and how that all is going to play out. Jackie, I think, would be the most interesting. Becky would be the most entertaining, and Shelly would be really annoying. I really hope that doesn't happen. Hopefully, this is based on, who ends up... I don't know how this is going to play out. We'll have to see. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing who comes back into the house next week. I don't really care as much because, last year, they got rid of all the great people, and I really want someone to come back. But this year, I really like everyone, minus, Liz and Austin, and Vanessa, but other than them, I don't have a problem with many people in the house. I really like Johnny Mac. Obviously, I really like Johnny Mac. I like Julia. I like James. I like Meg. There aren't many people left. There are 9 people left, and there are 6 people left in the house right now. No, that's 6. There are 8 people in the house. Sorry, 8 people. And then there's going to be 8 next week, so it's going to be very interesting to watch. Now, let's talk about this whole Vanessa situation. Why do I think Liz, Austin, and Julia don't want to be the ones to get rid of Vanessa? Because, obviously, they don't want her to come after them. But also, if Vanessa leaves, they're toast. They're definitely toast if she leaves. One of them, they are leaving after Vanessa leaves. I'm calling it now. Because of the fact that Vanessa really is the thing that holds them together. The thing that holds that group together, and something is going to get them to split apart. You can tell that Liz and Julia, they're not seeing eye to eye. I think Julia, I don't think she hates Austin, but I don't think she agrees with some of the choices that Liz and Austin have made, and I think Julia might fly over to the other side of the house, and I could definitely see that happening. So, I definitely feel something's going to split them up. I don't know what's going to split them up, but something is going to, and getting Vanessa out, that's going to be the thing that does that. And I do think that they do want to do that, but it's going to come to bite them back in the ass. Now, I do feel Austin's going to be the first one to leave. And people have said that one of the twins are going to be one of the last ones standing. Yes, they are. Liz or Julia. I really see Julia sticking longer than Liz. I definitely see that, and I'd be fine with that, because Austin and Liz can do whatever they want in the jury house, but I'm kind of getting annoyed by them. I definitely will say that. Also, Zingbot's coming back next week. I was not a fan that they showed all the clips of the hated house guests, basically. They showed Amanda, they showed Frankie, they showed Christine. I thought it was interesting that they showed specifically them. And then Danielle from Big Brother 14, who I don't hate, but she was very annoying. And plus, I noticed, why are all there, these stalker romances a season? I mean, Big Brother 14, it was Danielle and Shane. Big Brother 15, I don't think there was one Big Brother 15. Big Brother 16, it was Caleb and Amber, and then this season, it's Austin and Liz. It seems like every season there's been one, except for Big Brother 15. There really wasn't one then. But there is definitely, one this season, and I think it was pretty funny the way they did that. I don't know if that was intentional, but it seemed like all the house guests they were showing are the ones that, got the best zings, even though they were probably some of the most hated house guests. Amanda, Frankie, great to see them get zinged, and I can't wait to see the Zing bot next week. It's always fun to watch that, so I'm looking forward to next week. Overall, guys, pretty great week, even though Liz did absolutely nothing as an HOH and didn't really accomplish much. She did get rid of a target that probably would come after her. It was a pretty great week. We now know that Vanessa is the target. I hope she doesn't win HOH. I swear to God, I really hope she doesn't. And I agree with what Becky says, that she really is not the one controlling the house right now. She thinks she is, but she's really not. And I definitely agree with that. So, overall, guys, really did enjoy this week. Let me know your thoughts on this week. What do you think of Becky leaving? Who do you want to win HOH? Do you like the HOH competition? I think it's very strange. What are your opinions on Austin and Liz? Again, I don't hate them, but they're just very disgusting, but it's hilarious to see Julia call them out. Would you want to watch a whole show around Julia, Liz, and Austin? If they get Final 3, that's going to be hilarious. Honestly, I don't want it to happen, but if it happened, it would be probably the funniest thing ever. Do you think that Johnny Mac or Steve, do you think they will get rid of Vanessa? Do you like how Johnny Mac's trying to play a bigger game? What do you guys think of that? What are your thoughts on Becky leaving, obviously? That's something I want to know as well. But that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next week, which I promise will be for Mr. Robot. I'm sorry, guys. I had a lot to do today. I had it's been a long day. I didn't have a time to watch it. I have like 8 minutes left. I've watched pretty much the entire episode, but then Big Brother came on. I didn't get a chance to finish it, so all I have to do is finish it, and then I will review to you guys, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.